All right, what's up, everybody? Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making some Halas, Halas, however you guys want to call it. We're going to be making some planks for our builds. Variant lengths. We're going to be having these have like different waves and little crusty looking stuff, and make it look like it's got meat and bones and potatoes and all that kind of good stuff. So what I've already done is I've already set up a little panel over here, and got this set up. It's a 21 by 17 by 1 little panel, and on each side of it I have these little walls set up, and a line that is right in the center all the way across for each side of it. Now I've got these spread apart pretty far. It's close to like 90 voxels on either side of what I have in the center. So we're looking at around 200 voxels between each one, give or take. This measurement doesn't have to be exact. You can actually probably bring it in to where it's 50 voxels on either side. But I found it kind of works best if you have quite a bit of space between these walls here and here. And if you notice, I've also kind of marked it off here, here, and here, like every other one. So it'll help me be able to use the line tool, and I'll know exactly where I want to put my placement on them. And you can see I've already marked it off with a different color on these two marks right there, and that's specifically for the line tool. That way I can remember which one I need to put it on. Okay, now the first thing we want to do is we're going to take this plank of solid voxels that's in the center, and we need to make the cuts along the lengths of our boards. Okay, and I want to have it to where they're wavy and they look like they were hand chipped by hand. So I need to make something that will allow me to do that. So the first thing that comes to mind is using my deletion mode to be able to delete out various different sections. And to do that, I need to make a few little panels, little compressed voxels, to be able to create those little cuts in that solid to make the boards. So what I've done here is, as you can tell here, I've created like this little checkerboard looking little section down here, and that's just by placing voxels down on the ground. And once I've got this set up, I copy it and then I paste it, and I make this a big section out of it like this. Now I'm going to take my selection tool, grab this whole thing. I'm going to go to my smooth tool, and using my F key to go into controlled smooth, I'm going to hit it twice like so. I'm going to grab one out of the center, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I'm going to paste this one out into the world. I'm going to select the whole thing again, go to Smooth Tool, press F and hold it down, click it twice, and pull one out of the center. Line this one up with the other one that I already put down. I'm going to select the whole thing again, rinse and repeat, hold down F, click it twice, grab one out of the center, Control C, Control V, and paste like so. And one more time, and I should have all the pieces that I need. So Control Smooth, hold F and hit twice, grab one out of the center, paste it on the end over here, and now I've got my little set that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. You can go down even smaller, and if you wish. Leave it up to you, however you want to do it. Now the big one equals basically a wide gap or a wide spacing between the boards, whereas one that's smaller will actually bring the boards together a little closer. So it's all in how you want to do this, but these are the 4 that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. I'm going to grab these, I'm going to copy them, I'm going to paste them with a Control V, hit tilde, tab, rotate, tab, or tilde, and then tilde and tab again to get them up into the air like so. Go to my add tool, and this time I'm going to change my texture to something else. I'm going to go into my add tools fill option, and I'm going to paste or put down voxels right on the top of it using the fill option, which is like putty. So whatever it puts down, it conforms to whatever is already existing in the world. So there we have it. I have my tool set that I'm going to be using for my cutting, and I've already got one pasted over there, so that way it would kind of save me a little bit of time. But there they are, and let's go ahead and paint this top so it all kind of looks the same. So voila, there it is. Now first thing I want to do is go ahead and start my little cutting section down the length of this, and my boards, I'm going to set them up as 2 voxels wide. You can go 3, you can go 4, however you want to do the boards, okay? And I'm going to do some variance. You have one that's like 2, and one that's like 3, and then one that maybe down to 1 or something like that. I'll figure it out as I go. But we're going to copy that first tool. We're going to paste it. There's the first, second, third. Drop it down, hold F, and then we're going to just run this tool down the length, deleting out this little section here, all the way down it, like so. So now we have just a plank. Now, not sure you can really see this, but if you can really look at it, this right here is the way it would look. And over here, this has actually been pulled outside of that voxel space along that whole entire edge. Now, we're going to be doing this with, all these different tools. We're just randomly taking these and popping them in different places, pressing F and holding it, and deleting, and just find some random places to kind of use these down the length of it. I'm going to do 2 or 3 different ones along this edge. Drop it down in, pull it over, hold F, and let's pop in a few more of these. There we go. You can see it's starting to create that wavy pattern now, which is kind of what we're aiming for. Now I'm going to use this really wide one in about 1 or 2 places, just to break it in and get some variance in there. Let's put one there, maybe one right there. That looks good. Now, I've already got one side of this board done, but we want to do it on the other side as well, so let's copy this. We're going to mirror it, put it on the other side of the board, drop it down, mirror it once more, and paste. So now I've got these little wavy boards, and they look kind of different than what you would actually think of, right? So now copy the whole gap, so not only the center voxel space but the ones on either side of it, so it's a 3 voxel piece there. Copy this, paste it, and we're just going to drop this in 2 or 3 different places just to come up with some different board thicknesses and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to see what we can come up with here. I think that just about gets us where we want to be. And let's go ahead and grab one more. Copy. And let's put one here on the end. You can see it looks kind of repetitive right up through here, so I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to take this piece that I've already copied, and I'm just going to drag it off to one side or the other, pop it down in, and we're going to paste it in. And over here, we'll throw that one off a little bit there. Let's mirror it onto this side, and I think that just about gets it. And now we can take all this little bit of excess off the end, so just select it with it and hit your delete key, kind of get rid of all that excess that we've put in here. Delete key. So now we've got something that looks pretty good. We can also take it and make sure it's all kind of smooth if we wish, just by running our line tool across it, or we can just leave it the way it is. It's kind of up to you at this point. But we have it pretty much in the bag for the first part of our boards. Now we want to be able to take that board and make it do like this just a little bit, so it kind of angles off to one side. And before we do that, I'm going to take a copy of this whole thing. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and we'll put this at the same height as this one. And let's bring this over and paste like so. Now this is where those two panels on either side kind of comes into play, because now I want to actually start angling these things either way. That way it has some variance not only in the sides of it, but it also has variance on each board, whether it pop up on this side or pop up on this side, and just so it looks kind of uneven as it kind of goes across. Now for this, like I said, I've already created these little panels on either side of it. This one here, I have got a mark all the way across that is even with what I have in the center right there. So if I take my selection tool and grab that, pull it over here, you can see it's even. And this will tell me right where my board is. For this side, I have these two voxels right here, and then I have a gray marker. This is where I'll take my line tool, bring it up to the size of this little wall I have here. I'm going to hold down my control button, move it up just like this. So the bottom of my line tool here is going to be equal to the bottom of that gray marker there. I'm going to hit check. As you can tell, I'm in positive line tool mode. I want to hit F to go into deletion mode. And this time we're going to go to the other side, and for this side I want the bottom of my line tool to be at the bottom of that little gray marker I have on this side. And if you notice, it's only one voxel on this under that line for the panels. It's only one voxel. So we're going to hit control and I'm going to click, because I want to show you what's going on here in the center. Now if you notice here, that blue, which is my deletion, it goes down into this voxel space right on the edge here, so it kind of like pulls down into it right here. On this side I've got a gap. Now what's going to happen is the side that it goes through, so where that deletion actually goes through the voxel space like this, it's going to push that side of that voxel down. Whereas the other side that has a gap, it's going to pull upwards and actually take those voxels to fill in the gap space right above it. So it's going to do like this. And that's going to cause that those little planks to kind of cock off to one side right on the top face of it. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead in our checkbox. And hopefully you guys saw that when that happened. Let me do a little magic here. I'm going to do a Control Z and Control Y. You can see how it just kind of cocks off to one side there, like that. And that's kind of what we're after. Now, at this point, we're going to bring that back in here. And I want to clean this up just a little bit. And I'm going to show you how to do that. If I take this whole thing like so. Now, what's happened is I'm getting artifacts right up on the side here. And to clean them up, I want to put the voxels on the bottom side in line with the ones that are on the top. So I'm going to select this whole section like this. I'm going to copy it. Control V to paste, or Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Sit this one right on top of that one. Drop it down by 1. Hold and press F and click. And you can see a lot of my artifacting kind of cleaned itself up there. It's still not exactly perfect, but it's still not bad. Now, and a lot of this has to do with the material type itself. And we're kind of hoping that when they give us the newer materials, we'll have less and less problems with the artifacting. But for this tutorial, I'm just kind of guiding you in a direction and showing you how you can kind of play with this thing just a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of these planks. Let's grab one of these doubles here in the center, or the best looking one that I have. Let's see. This underside looks okay for the most part. Still getting a little artifacting down there, but let's go ahead and grab one of these sections here. Control C to copy. Let's bring this over to this. Control V to paste. And I'm going to drop this down right in on top of one of the ones we already have. I'm going to paste it. Then I'm going to mirror it this direction and replace the one that's right next to it. Right there. So now I get these little boards that kind of stick up in one place or the other. And we get a little bit of variance in the actual height of this here on the top. So it looks like it's, you know, kind of haphazardly put together, right? So at this point, we need to put our support beams underneath. So I'm going to select this section here, and I've got about 3 voxels, 1, 2, 3, inwards on the end. And I'm going to drop this down 1 voxel, drag the bottom down an extra voxel, so we actually have a pretty big beam down here. Go to my add tool, go to the fill option, and I'm going to paste with using fill on the bottom down here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So let's bring this over here, and this looks pretty good. So 1, 2, 3. That looks pretty good. Add tool, fill option, and fill. Now we're going to get kind of some jankies kind of going on down in here because all these voxels don't exactly line up anymore. You can see how this has a divot inwards here and here. It's up to you if you want to leave them or not. My OCD goes kind of a little nutty, so I'm going to kind of change that. I'm going to go ahead and change this over to wood as well, like so, and hopefully you can kind of see it a little bit better. There's the jankies, and it gets all jankies, deformations, whatever you wish to call them. I'm going to take my line tool, and I'm going to shrink this down a little bit, and I'm going to pretty much do kind of the same thing, except this time we're going to straighten this beam out so we don't have those deformations quite as badly. I'm just going to click on one side, drag it to the other side, and click. I'm going to do this 2 or 3 times until that beam kind of cleans itself up a bit. Might not be able to get rid of all of them, but you can kind of get rid of the majority just by kind of double clicking in a few places or dragging it across the surface. And if you look down the length of this, you can kind of see how it sticks out just a little bit there, and that's what we're pretty much trying to clean up. So let's drag it down this face here. And get it as clean as we possibly can. Sometimes this that artifacting really bugs me, and I'll sit there and play with it and play with it and play with it, and I just can never get it to clean up. But if you take the time, a lot of times you can knock it out for the most part. But I'm trying to kind of breeze through this tutorial at least a little bit, and give you the gist on how to approach getting a few things done, showing you some concepts that you might be able to use in other places. And here we go. So now we have some uneven planks on top of our little thing here, and we've got the little waviness, so it looks like it was hand chiseled out. Now we want to put a set of staircases on it. Now, for the most part, in the competitions, you want to stay away from a 1-to-1 ratio for your stairs. And that is this 45-degree angle steps that look just like this. And the reason for that is when a character is walking up it, they start getting this mountain climbing look, and they start doing the hunching and doing this really weird walk as they're walking up these steps. And we've been pretty much told that a 1-to-2 ratio is the best way to go for the most part, or a 1-to-3. Now, when you're looking at this, whichever one you take to actually use is up to you. But you also need to take into account how much space it's going to take up. This one, which is a 1-to-3 ratio, is going to take up, for 7 units, it's going to take up 21 units or voxels of distance to get up to the same height as this one, which is a 1-to-2. For 7 voxels, it takes 14, and for this one, it's 7-to-7. So definitely keep that in mind when you're deciding which type of staircase you're going to be using for whatever distance. Now, I'm going to bring out that 1-to-2 ratio one, because that's the one we're going to be working with here. So let me pull this out. Now, I've already made these specifically like this, because this right here is 7 voxels, and it's going to be the easiest to kind of work with. Now, let me go ahead and copy this, delete it, get it out of my way. And I've made this little jig to kind of ease making this quite a bit. We'll bring this up and over like this and paste, so you can kind of see how I've got this little jig set up here. This here and right here, you can see how I've got these little walls set up. This one is 1 voxel in on the bottom step, and over here this is 1 voxel in on the top step. And what I'm going to be doing is taking my line tool, bringing this down to our 2 voxel sizing. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click here. Oops. I need to switch over to my paste mode, or my actual line tool mode. And let's try that again. There we go. Now, this is what we're going to be using for our steps. So let's go ahead and select 1/2 of this line that we actually just created. 1/2. I'm going to copy that, paste it out into the world. I'm only going to take this section of it. Oops, excuse me. Only going to take this section of it. It's 7 voxels worth here. If you notice, I've got a little extra down here because my height of my steps are actually going to be 7. So that's how much I'm going to need. Not going to use this, so don't even select it. Let's copy this and let's paste that out. Let's bring this over towards me and up. I'm now going to take my line tool to the bottom, double click a few times to flatten that edge out, And I'm going to run it along this side to kind of clean it up just a little bit. There we go. Now this is going to be the under railing for our stair system. So now let's copy this and let's go over to what we were working on here. I'm going to put this right up against this bottom section down here, like so. I'm going to go ahead and paste, drag this over to the other side and paste, and now we've got the railing for our whole entire setup here. Right now we need actual rails that are going to go across that we're going to use as steps, right? So let's go ahead and grab a piece out of the top like so. I'm going to copy this, paste it into the world. I'm going to drop it back by 1, mirror it lengthways, and this way I'm getting a different pattern on the back side. I'm going to hold and press F and click, and that way we get this funky little rough looking piece of wood that kind of goes across here, and this is what we're going to use for our actual steps. So let's Control X that. Let's kind of zoom in here. Control V to paste. And right there, I'm right on that top level. I'm going to bring it out 2, down 1, paste. Out 2, down 1, paste. And I'm going to rinse and repeat this a few times. Out 2, down 1. I'm going to mirror it at this point. Bring it out, down, mirror, paste. Bring it out, 2. I'm going to mirror it in that direction. Down, paste. Out 2. Mirror it lengthways. Down. And now I'm at the kind of the end point now, and for this end point I think I'm going to do, I don't know, let's go with something like that. Just paste it down on the ground, and you can see I've got this 1 voxel gap down in here. I'm going to take my add tool, use my fill option, and I'm going to pop one right in between those two just to make it look like it connects. Another thing I could do is probably take some little pavers or something like that and place it right along that bottom edge so it raises it up just enough that my character can walk from the floor on up to the steps themselves. How you do this is kind of up to you, but for this tutorial I'm just going to kind of throw it down on the floor here. But the cool thing is my character can run right up it just like this, and I get this neat little effect just because the boards are kind of uneven, and I get a nice decent stairway kind of leads up to it. You can see I'm getting some of those jankies there at the bottom, so let's go ahead and clean that up. And like I said, some people can kind of leave that kind of stuff in there. Me, I don't know, my OCD kind of goes nuts and I have to clean it, and just because. Alright, gonna do the best we can with that. I think that just about does it. And we're going to clean it up the best we can. But there we go. We have a stairway that looks pretty fancy, and that will fit right in with our Halas build. Now, here on the ends, if you notice this side here, I've got like some little quirkiness kind of stuff kind of going on. Some of the stuff that we can kind of do with this is I can go back to, oops, go back to my original pieces here, I'm going to take the biggest one that I have right here and go to the very end of one of my boards that I have here. Actually, let's go to the one we're actually working on here. Come in right here. I'm going to delete out and get some kind of a gapping kind of going on in here. Something like that maybe. And copy this in and then paste it on the very end. So bring out some different lengthening on it. And I can also take something from here in the center, copy it, paste it, rotate it, and then put this on the end of it as well, just to kind of break up just a little bit, give me some different shaping, different end pieces. You know, it'll give me different looks to whatever it is that I'm working on. You can do all different kinds of stuff with this. It's kind of up to you on how you want to work with it. Definitely play with it and see what you can kind of come up with. Love to see what you do. And here we go. Just doing some funkiness. Just kind of playing with things. Never know what you're going to kind of come up with unless you get in there and actually, you know, get dirty with it. All right. So from here, it's just a matter of throwing in some supports. And for this, I think I'm just going to grab the ones off this side. It's just some stone. Let's pop this in there and we shall be done. So boom. And boom. So there we go. There's our steps and our little planks there. And hopefully you learned something from this. And whatever you take from this, hopefully it will help you in your building of some sort. Definitely, if you use the tutorial, definitely post a comment. Definitely hit the thumbs up and definitely hit the subscribe button. And with that, guys, have a good one. And I'll see you in the next tutorial.